What up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Ropp Star Report. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button as you're coming in. Brought to you by BetUS, where the games begin. Sign up for free today. You get 125% bonus on your first three bets up to $2,000. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Yeah, just do these three things for me. That's it. Those three things: like, subscribe, click that post notifications bell. Why the bell is so important, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to make sure you get notified every single time I'm live. You know, I'm always posting up content, so it always notifies you if I post up a short or a video as well. But it always notifies you when I am live. Y'all see it, obviously. Bryce Young's last chance. But we just can't. The problem is we got a couple of things before we talk about his last chance and talk about him starting this week. We also got to talk about the problem that we just can't get away from this kid, number one. We also got to talk about this team is about to go through an absolute fire sale. Okay, like we talked about it yesterday, a little bit. Like we talked about that yesterday, but like I think it's for sure coming into fruition. Like, I think Dan Morgan is going to blow this thing up. I think Dan Morgan is really going to blow this thing up at the trade deadline. And I think it's going to come more in the trade deadline. We might see some moves before then, right? But I think this is going to get blown up at the trade deadline for sure, ladies and gentlemen. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And because we know Dan Morgan is staring down the barrel of a monumental next 2 weeks up to this trade deadline, because we're 1-6, and this team is a dumpster fire. We lack talent, any hint of inspiration. With another losing season practically locked in. You know what I mean, ladies and gentlemen? Practically locked in. And it's time for Morgan to face the reality that this isn't a simple retooling, which is what they seem to love to call this, but it's not a retool. It's a rebuild, and it has to be a full-blown rebuild, or we're doomed to continue to spiral into mediocrity and beyond. And Dan Morgan clearly thought he could tweak things here and there. But let's be real. This franchise has been tweaking things here and there, and all it's gotten us is into a hot mess. Because we've seen it from previous regimes, just a few adjustments. Mantra has left the Panthers wallowing among the NFL's dead weights. They need to wipe the slate clean if they're ever going to compete again. Now, Joe Persons from The Athletic echoed the grim reality about Morgan better get into his asset hoarding mode as the trade deadline approaches. And he named a few players that should be on the chopping block, including J.C. Horn. I told you guys that J.C. Horn would be on the chopping block. We already got teams sniffing around with this kid. I honestly think this game, this weekend against the Denver Broncos, is basically his first interview. It's his interview to get him back to see if they can get more trade value out of him. They're going to try to get this kid out on the field to see if he can interview, basically almost like interviewing for other jobs. That's the way I look at this, to see if he can find a job elsewhere. Matt Chatter, DJ Wanham is back from the he has been on that 21 practice window, and I'm pretty sure he's been practicing. I think he's been limited, but I'm pretty sure he's been practicing. Any interest in Cooper Kupp? No. He's older now. I don't want Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's a veteran. We got to go young. That's why I'm saying we're going to go into the draft. This is how we got to rebuild this team. It's through the draft. Start young. Here's the thing, though. So you got guys like Bryce Young. Okay. Here's the thing. And I agree with Joe Persons about this because Joe Persons of The Athletic did come out with this. There's teams already sniffing around for Bryce Young. But I do agree with Joe Persons in the fact that I don't expect them just to toss away their number one pick for just a piece of gum stuck, to his shoe. And that's what Joe Persons says. And I agree with that statement. Obviously, you got Jonathan Brooks hitting the field. Miles Sanders is basically packing his bags, which I said. If Deontay Johnson doesn't sign before the trade deadline, he gets traded. I think Adam Thielen's another guy. I think Jadeveon Clowney's another. J.C. Horn, Xavier Woods are all on the block. Here's the thing. As much as I don't want to trade J.C. Horn, I think it is a smart move. Because if it would dump the Panthers' best defender outside of Derek Brown, who's already riding the bench for the season, making it easier for Ejiro Evero's defense to slide into the historic levels of ass cheeks. Because the rest of these players, let's face it, they're going to be itching to jump ship, join a contender, and at this point in their careers. Meanwhile, nowhere near being competitive and trading them would be like waving the white flag on 2024. All right. In 2024. So when we talk about a tough spot for Morgan, right? Morgan finds himself in a tough spot, especially since he's been around for this sad circus before. He watched the Panthers turn into a national joke. He knows all too well how unpredictable David Tepper can be when things go south. Now, Tepper's run through more head coaches and front office gurus than most people have had hot dinners since he took over from Jerry Richardson. So if Morgan, here's the thing, if Morgan can secure some sort of job security, regardless of how bad this team finishes this season, he might have a green light to start shipping off some of these underperformers in a bid to actually create a better future. But, of course, that does hinge on whether anyone even wants them. Most players are struggling with confidence and form. It's highly unlikely Horn gets dealt now that he's finally healthy. Everyone else, apart from Brown, Chuba Hubbard, the offensive line, and some of the shiny new draft class toys that we got, they're all fair game if the right offer comes in. So I want you guys to be prepared. I wanted to start the show off like this because I want you guys to be prepared for the wildest 2 weeks maybe in Panthers history, because we are staring down at a fascinating fortnight, that kind that could rattle the very foundation of this Panthers organization. And I'm telling you right now, this clock is ticking, and Dan Morgan better make some smart moves. And the only one thing left standing in Carolina would be a shrine to what once was. What was. I'm dead ass serious. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Let me ask the chat this question. Do you think Andy Dalton, let's say we were 6-1. Let's turn this around for a second. Let's turn this, and I know this is a hypotheticals. We're talking about a hypothetical here. Let's say we're 6-1, or we're 5-2, or we're 4-3, and we're going into this game against the Denver Broncos. And this whole accident thing happens, right? This whole accident thing happens with Andy Dalton. All right. Does Andy Dalton start, even with the accident? This is almost like the Cam Newton situation. Remember when Newton hurt his thumb or whatever it was? They started him that day. Do you think that there may be some narrative that they put Andy Dalton, they benched Andy Dalton due to the fact that they wanted to get this kid out here? Like, I think if we're in a winning position, we're 4-3, or we're 5-2, or we're 6-1, with a thumb sprain, I think Andy Dalton starts this Sunday. Cam had fractured ribs, but didn't he still play, Tyler? If I'm not mistaken, correct? That's what I'm getting at here, ladies and gentlemen. Like, how can we not sit here and say that if the tables were reversed, Dalton plays Sunday? Clay, why does Minnesota want Stafford? That's a good question. Because O'Connell came from that Rams organization. He's worked with Stafford before. I think he's had some background with Stafford before. I think in LA, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think so. And they want to make a Super Bowl run, which they obviously, with the record that they got, I don't see why you don't go after Stafford. But sorry, some guy just came in my door. Yes, Cam played. That was against New Orleans in the Dome. Yep. Thank you, Tyler. I was trying to remember what game it was. That's another team that's ready to just knock it all down. That's why you're seeing guys like Cooper Kupp, Stafford being talked about. That's another team that wants to rebuild now. They want to go ahead and start fresh. And I don't blame them. Right? B. Amos, you're onto something there, my friend. Sounds like a BS injury to me. But here's the thing. It's part of the title of this live stream. The Panthers can't hide the Bryce Young problem, no matter how hard they try. Again, Dave Canales is in deep shit in this part of this thing, right? We're sitting at 1-6. We just got our asses handed to us in Washington. And we didn't even have to deal with Jaden Daniels, who went out one drive after one drive. And we still got annihilated 40-7 by the end of the first quarter. The game was over. That's rock bottom territory, ladies and gentlemen. That's rock bottom territory, ladies and gentlemen. You can't hide from the problems. Like with the Panthers looking like a glorified practice squad right now, the call is you bring in Bryce Young back into this starting lineup. And you probably are asking yourself, why are they doing this? Let's excuse the accident. Let's we got to dismiss it for a second because Andy Dalton is a 36-year-old veteran who's been in the league, 16 years, whatever it is at this point. He just put up the league's worst QBR of the season at a pathetic 3.2. So the brief that Dalton might help phase is over, and it's pretty damn clear he's not part of the long-term plans. I don't think he ever was. He was a backup quarterback that they had behind Bryce Young, but he's also a veteran / mentor that they were using him for. But here's the real kicker of all of this. And even with Bryce Young's, this is probably being Bryce Young's last chance to prove himself, except the fact that he's going up against a Denver Broncos defense that I'm pretty sure is top 5, top 10 in the NFL right now. That is hot and hungry. That just ate up Spencer Rattler. Like, Bryce Young might not be the long-term answer either. Like, I think people need to understand that. I know that there are some delusional fans out there that are excited about this kid starting, but I can't tell you I am. But guess what? The Panthers have already sunk a mountain of resources into this kid, so they might as well see what they've got before the whole ship goes down in flames. And like I told y'all yesterday, this guy, Dave Canales, has been dodging Bryce Young bullets like he's fucking Neo, because the media has been hounding him with the same question every single week ever since Dalton has been losing. Why the hell are you still playing Dalton when Bryce Young is rotting on the bench? That's basically how the media has been. So what's the long-term plan here? Instead of giving a straight answer, Canales continues with the same response. Oh, we're focused on Broncos. We're focused on Dalton. But he goes, this is about Andy Dalton. This is about playing the Broncos. Again, translation to all of that, ladies and gentlemen. Translation to all of that is I don't want to talk about Bryce Young because I'm trying to save my own ass. Canales is a full-blown self-preservation mode right now. He doesn't trust Bryce Young. He's not willing to gamble his reputation on this kid. So he's sticking with Dalton. That's why, even though Bryce is starting this week because of the whole accident and sprained thumb, but this is the walking definition of mediocrity, ladies and gentlemen, because at least he knows what he's getting, even if it's guaranteed out every single week. Because here's the thing, Canales isn't no fool. Sure, he sees more behind the scenes than an average fan does, like us. It's clear the future is now, and he's pretending like this team can afford to play it safe, but spoiler alert, they can't. But I'm going to say this for Bryce before I get into him starting this week, because we're going to talk a lot about that. It is put up or shut up. It's time to play Bryce. I think it was time to play Bryce. Even though without the car accident, I thought it was time to play Bryce. Because it's either you play him or you trade him. Because here's the thing. If the Panthers aren't going to play Bryce, right? If they're not going to play Bryce, then they've already decided that he's a bust and then trade him. It's that simple. The situation is turning into yet another distraction to this team, and we already have enough of those. We already have enough distractions. Wishing on a star. Love that, Kristen. But I guarantee you, there are plenty of teams out there, ladies and gentlemen, that would take a flyer on the 2024 number 1 overall pick. He was the top quarterback in that draft for a reason, but maybe, just maybe, he could thrive in a competent system that isn't setting him up to fail. I think we also have to think about that. Because to me, it sure as hell looks like Canales has already given up on Young. Despite all the offseason talk about him being an exciting project, that there was no need to fix him and all this other bullshit that we heard. Coaches can dance around a lot of questions all they want to, but we all know that actions speak louder than words, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Do we all believe that? What's up, T Green? Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. Let me give a quick shout out before I finish this up. Tyler Calhoun, Marcos Cash, Kristen Butler, Matt Chatter, T Green. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. Appreciate you. Feel free to get in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Feel free to get in the chat. But Canales might be saying all the right things, though, to deflect. But his decision-making screams, to me, I'm done with this kid. Even though he's starting this week, this was before this whole accident thing happened. Because there's no amount of dodging, deflecting, or empty PR that is going to change the fact that the Panthers are a disaster, ladies and gentlemen. And Bryce Young's situation is at the center of it all. And either you play the kid and figure out if he's worth that investment, or you ship him off and start over. The longer we sit on the fence, the worse it's going to get. But now this kid's getting thrown back in the fire. And as us Panthers fans, we better hope he doesn't get burned. We better hope he does not get burned. Bryce Young is back at the starting quarterback position because of Andy Dalton's accident and sprained thumb. That's why he's starting. It's no other discussion upon that. Because let's be honest, this wasn't exactly by choice. Because days after after Dave Canales practically was fawning over Andy Dalton, guys, calling him the team's best shot at winning, now he's forced to throw Young back in. Why? Because, again, Dalton sprained his thumb in a freaking car crash. That's right. The Panthers literally have no other option. You can't tell me Canales wanted this. The guy benched the number 1 overall pick after 2 games like he couldn't wait to get him off the field. Now with the season circling the drain, the team looking like a complete joke, Young gets his second chance. I think it's funny how quickly things can change when you've got no other options. Yeah, I mean, you could go Jack Plummer if you want to. Depressed Raider. What's up, man? Got a Raiders fan. What's up, Mike? What's up, peeps? Hit that like button one time. Yes, sir. Right, T Green? Yeah, let's see him go. Let's see Lemonhead drop go back there and drop back to pass. So Canales has to, spin the wheel. And he's got to act like he's excited about it. But we all know it's bullshit. He said he's been an absolute stud through this process. Canales said that, and he's acting like everything's all sunshine and rainbows, man. But just days ago, Don was the guy. And Young, not so much. Now, Canales has to make this work because if he doesn't, the dumpster fire that is the Panther season will rage out of control. But let's be real, Canales doesn't trust Young, and it shows. But what's he going to do? Pretend he has another option after all the talk of Young potentially being on the trade block? Panthers don't even have the luxury of shopping him around anymore. They've got no choice but to throw him back and pray he doesn't completely blow it against this Denver's nasty defense. AJ Brooks, if they pick Cam Ward, I will be fucking pissed. If they pick Cam Ward, I will not be live. I will shut down the live stream for that NFL draft. Because I'm gonna be live at the NFL draft. Not at, but I might go to the draft this year. I have been thinking about it. I have been thinking about going to the draft this year. And I was thinking about going. And there's also some stuff that I'm working on behind closed doors that y'all don't know about that could possibly bring y'all some fire ass content when it comes to the Carolina Panthers, but also going to like the Super Bowl, going to the draft. Yeah. I see through canals. Hal said, what you want to hear? Flip it with actions, right? No, Clay, you'll love it. You'll like it. Tepper. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's probably what Diddy whispers to all of his all the people that he, it's what Diddy whispers to all of them. You'll love it. You'll like it. Maybe David Tepper is part of those Diddy parties. Who knows? Cam Moore, no. Tagged you on the Discord with Evero's ranking defense. Yeah, we could look at that. Pull up the Discord. Let's see what you got here, Zach. Evero's defensive ranking. So Zach Rappaport just tagged me on Evero's defensive ranking right now. You nailed it, KB. Y'all want to look at this real quick? Look at this. Man, that's too big. I can't get it smaller. That's not too bad. There you go. That's a Giro Evero's defensive rankings, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, all I'm going to say is this because I'm not going to harp on this too much about the Giro Evero anymore. Y'all know how I feel about it. You can't flip this. You can't flip the scheme. You can't just do it now. This is from Zach Rappaport, who tagged me in this. He says this is per Fox Sports. You can't make this shit up, man. Listen, I know that we're working with undrafted free agents. I know that we're working with practice squad players and we're dropping guys every week and then we're adding new guys every single week. But my God, when do we start looking at this and saying, where's the adjustments? That's the biggest concern for me with Ejiro Evero. He's stubborn in his scheme, and the lack of adjustments is what the most alarming thing is to me. That's it. That's plain and simply it. Third down, we're allowing 70% of third downs based off of what Zach is finding on this. That's really, really bad. Bryce Young versus Bro Nick. Sean Payton may pronounce his words. Our team is like an amateur comedy club. Peeps trying to be funny, aka competitive, and other dudes worth a crap are the bouncers, aka our offensive line. Right? Right? I feel you there. Okay, first off, listen here. I can't tighten you anymore. Now. Sorry. King Jermaine, I see you on the Black Cat Panther podcast. Shout out to those guys, man. They still do great stuff. I support everyone. And I know a lot of other Panthers content creators are a bit lenient on Evero's side. But you got to wonder, man, when do we start saying it's not just the personnel? It's just like, when do we start saying that maybe Evero is an issue too? Because we got rid of Marquand McCall, who was the closest thing that we had as a true nose tackle. Evero gets to bring in his guys. Ashawn Robinson, what has he done? Jordan Fuller, what has he done? Josie Jewell, what has he done? Nick Scott, what has he done? You get to bring in your guys, Evero, to fit this scheme, to better help fit this scheme. Now, granted, Derek Brown is a major loss, so fair enough. You lose your leader in Shaq Thompson, because Shaq Thompson is a leader on this defense, whether you believe that or not. He's a guy that make sure that everybody's in their right positions. He's out for the year. But when do you start blaming Ejiro Evero for not putting the players in the right positions? The lack of communication, the missed tackles, the lack of adjustments. That's coaching. The miscommunications, the lack of adjustments, the missed tackles, that is coaching. That is no preparation. This team is not prepared on the defensive side of the ball every single week. And that is a coaching problem. Go back to the Atlanta game. You go watch the clip. How many times do you see our linebackers going one-on-one in coverage with Drake London? That's a perfect example. Someone make that make sense to me as to why we have our linebackers going against a wide receiver one-on-one. That's why you see guys that like Frankie Luvu, who walked away from a bigger contract because he knew he was going to get used properly in Washington, like a Micah Parsons with Dan Quinn's defense. And look what Frankie Luvu's doing. He's lighting it up even more in Washington than he was here. And he had great stats here. He had Pro Bowler numbers here. but he's in Washington. Look at Jeremy Chin. He's starting to revitalize himself. It seems like a little bit better in Washington because guess what? Dan Quinn's using him correctly. You have Brian Burns dropping back into coverage instead of having his hands in the dirt, rushing the quarterback, Evero. So when do we stop saying, well, it's the personnel? Yeah, they're part of the problem, but you also have to blame the coach, the defensive coordinator who's running this scheme. I pointed out a lot of the flaws just now. I also pointed out players that aren't here that are thriving elsewhere. Von Bell goes back to Cincinnati, is lighting and is doing very well. He got an interception on us. See, here's the thing that people don't realize. You know what separates the great coaches, the good coaches, from just average or good coaches? They're able to create the right amount of adjustments for the personnel to have somewhat success. And General Evero also, I think, is stubborn in his own ways because he continues to keep J.C. Horn, your best corner, on one side of the field instead of transitioning him with the best wide receiver on the field. That's why you see guys like Chow Smith-Wade or Dane Jackson or Mike Jackson getting cooked consistently because you got J.C. Horn on either the second or third best receiver on that team. But when he was against Jamar Chase, when he played against Jamar Chase got targeted out of the 3 times that J.C. Horn, I think it was 3. We got targeted 3 times, but he only allowed 1 catch for 11 yards. I'm just saying, when do we stop blaming just the personnel, the injuries? When do we just start looking at the coach and saying, maybe he's just not that good? Maybe he's not who we thought that he was. Because, again, I named so many errors. It's not even funny. I even named players that aren't even here anymore. That's what I'm saying, King Jermaine. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why you see guys like Mike Jack getting cooked. That's a true statement there, Zach. I do know that. But I can tell you right now, there's a good friend of that can replace Evero at the end of the season. He's a great guy. He just got fired as the head coach of the head coach of the New York Jets. Great defensive coordinator, coached for the San Francisco 49ers before he got there. His name's Robert Saleh. And if I am Dan Morgan and I'm Dave Canales, I say at the end of the season, you let Ejiro Evero go and you call that man immediately and you bring him in. Is he working? So did they hire him as a defensive coordinator, or did they just saying he was going over there to help them out? I'm confused. What's up with the Robert Saleh ordeal? No offense side help. So did they hire him or what did they do? Mike McCarthy available. If the way that Dallas continues to do it, T Green, he will be. They'll fire him here soon. So it says recently fired Jets coach Robert Saleh is at the Packers practice. Long history between him and Matt LaFleur. His work. We will hear from him in practice if he's hired. That's him on the far. So it's a fluid role. So that's crazy. So they hired him. Let me see what this says. So Robert Saleh back on practice on Wednesday. We'll work with this team through Thursday this week. Well known for it. I don't know if he's staying there though, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's just helping them for the week. I don't think that he's staying there. Because it just says that he for Robert Saleh that said that we'll work with the team through Thursday this week, calling Saleh's role fluid. So it just sounds like he's just coming in as almost like a. It doesn't sound like they hired him. They're just using him. So he's helping with his defensive mind to help the offense prepare, basically. But it doesn't sound like he's there for doesn't sound like he's there for, like for the immediate future. Yeah, he does. He should call him today. Or no, at the end of the day. He should call him at the end of the day. But who knows? They might end up hiring him the way it's sounding based off the way it's sounding. But who knows? Who knows? But, let's get back to the Bryce Young thing, ladies and gentlemen. Because we might as well welcome the kid back to hell. Because that's where we are. We're in hell. We're in football hell. Okay? Because we're in football hell because well, there's actually a multitude of things. I think that's a huge statement with a lot of dialogue. But Young couldn't have asked for a worse time to come back. Let's just say that. He's already been smashed around by two tough defenses earlier in the season, and now he's got to go against this Broncos team. Now, this Denver's defense, ladies and gentlemen, is no joke. They've got a top 5 pass defense. They got the number 10 rushing yards allowed, and they've loved sacking. They average 4 sacks per game. So this isn't just going to be some bounce back game for Bryce Young. This is a last, and it's crazy. This might be his last shot to prove that he's not a complete bust. But people are going to say, well, we went up against the Denver Broncos, and that defense is very good. So what? If he falls flat on his face again, Canales and everyone else in that front office will know what's up. And at this point, the writing's on the wall, and everyone, please, in Carolina will finally realize that maybe the number 1 pick wasn't the savior that they hoped for after all. And all of Charlotte, North Carolina is going to be boo-hooing. Who cares? This is a high-stakes game. There's no more excuses. This is for Bryce Young. There's no more excuses, no more waiting for some magical turnaround. He's being tossed in the fire with no cushion. No one backing him up, and either he steps up and delivers, or the Panthers will know that they got a big, ugly mess to clean up this offseason. And whether anyone wants him to be out there or not, it is what it is. It's like this kid's trying out for another circus act, man. Because that's what we are. We're a fucking circus. We're a fucking clown show here in Carolina. Me neither. I've never heard that either. Oh, for sure, Kristen. It definitely is a shot at him. It's definitely a shot at him. Oh, the brown bags is definitely coming back. It's just funny because this kid's got. You know what's funny about this whole Bryce Young situation, ladies and gentlemen, is that because he gets to start this weekend, not because anyone suddenly believes in him, but because the universe just loves irony, I think. And maybe a little bit of a chaos. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of chaos. I think it's hilarious how irony works in this world. Because again, I keep going back to this. Just days after the Panthers, just days after Dave Canales was basically sang love songs about Andy Dalton, calling him the savior of this disaster of the team, or at least he made it out to be. You have to roll this kid out. And it's because of a stupid car accident, and you have no other option left. I'm happy that Andy Dalton and his family are okay. Okay, I'm not a statistic or a complete asshole. I'm glad that Andy Dalton's okay. I don't wish nobody harm. But this whole situation is it's like being picked last in gym class because everyone else has a broken leg. We all know, and let's be real, we all know Canales wasn't going to do this willingly. His faith in Young, the supposed crown jewel of the 2023 NFL draft, has been about as solid as a wet paper towel. The guy benched Young after 2 lousy games, which speaks volumes. And even with the season going down the toilet faster than last night's takeout, he refused to give Young another shot until now when the football gods left him no choice. But here's the kicker, and I'm still going to go back to this. Canales has been clinging to Andy Dalton, if you haven't noticed, like a security blanket. He's convinced that the 36-year-old journeyman gives the Panthers the best shot winning, even though they've dropped 4 straight under his guidance. Now, let's say we started out the season 0-2, right, with Bryce Young. Let's say Andy Dalton won 4 straight games. I can guarantee you the narrative, like we were talking about earlier, would be if we were 4-2 right now or 5-2 right now, right? I guarantee you Andy Dalton starts this game with a sprained thumb. But you're 4-0. You're 0-4. Actually, you're 1-4 with Andy Dalton. But Canales still had the audacity to act like Dalton was the team's only hope here, which is so laughable to me. But now Canales has to pull this whole 180 to pretend he's thrilled to throw Bryce Young back into the fryer in front of the media, and he couldn't pile on enough praise for the kid. He's talking about how excited Young is and how much he's a stud. He's been through this whole ridiculous process. Really? Is that what you said last week, Dave? Because it sure didn't sound like it, because hey, when you're drowning, I guess you grab onto whatever lifelines are available, right? Even if it's time, even if it's the same one you tossed aside like trash, now Canales has to fake enthusiasm for Young and pray that his Hail Mary of a decision somehow doesn't blow up in your fucking face. But you know, let's not sugarcoat it, though. This is probably Young's last chance at proving he's not a total bust in Carolina. And the timing, again, couldn't be worse. Because his first two starts, like I said, were against two tough defenses and the New Orleans Saints before they got banged up. Their defense was hot before they got banged up. And then the Los Angeles Chargers, who have been completely solid on defense all year so far. And now he has to face, again, a top 5 passing defense, a top 10 rushing defense. They're averaging 4 sacks a game. So, I mean, good luck with that, Bryce. And Patrick Surtain, their best corner, might be back and available. The Panthers are going to have to pull a miracle out of their asses to make this work. Because you know Sean Payton hates the Carolina Panthers, and he's going to make sure he embarrasses us. Everyone knows, though, here now, or should know by now, after how I spoke about this, and I'm hoping that you are believing what I'm saying here, but everyone knows Canales doesn't trust Young, and after this season, I can tell you right now, Bryce Young may not be here. But who the hell knows if Young even trusts the Panthers anymore? Let's just say that. But here we are. You're watching Canales trying to act like he's not throwing Young into the deep end with no lifeboat. And a lot of people are like, is Bryce Young on the trade block? A lot of people are asking that. We talked about that a little bit earlier, just a little bit of it. But yeah, he's definitely on the trade block. There's already been teams who've offered us a 4th-round pick for him. But I could guarantee you, if it's going to depend on how much he sucks this week. Because on top of this dumpster fire, rumors have been swirling about this. About cutting ties with Young altogether. Diane Rossini came out. I don't know if y'all seen this video. I can pull it up. I don't know if y'all have seen this. Let me see if I can. She's got that video up on her. If she's got it up on her channel, or maybe I'll have to go to Chase Daniels' channel. See. Okay, hold on. Let's go to Chase Daniels. Maybe not. Where is it at? Hold on. I might have saved it. Oh, there it is. Okay, hold on. I don't know if how many of y'all have seen this. All right.
Keeping an eye on Bryce Young. You know, I know teams called the Panthers when they benched him to see if that team would be open to maybe possibly trading, right? Because look, what is this season about? The resurrection of the quarterback that was trashed to another team that becomes a treasure for a new one. So I think there's a lot of coaches and GMs out there kind of licking their chops, going, maybe we can do something with him. Because remember, he scored really high in the draft. Obviously, he went number 1 overall. The Panthers weren't the only team that had Bryce Young as number 1 in terms of talent at the quarterback spot.
So, again, there's definitely a lot of rumors, right, swirling around. Zach, I'm not going to be on long today. I'm not going to be on much longer today. I've already been on for an hour. But on top of this dumpster fire obviously, like I said, she came, Diane Rossini. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Diana Rossini from The Athletic said that there's several teams already looking, right? Waiting for Carolina to decide if they're done. And again, if Bryce Young screws this up, it might just be the nail in the coffin for his time in a Panthers uniform. And honestly, you can't blame those teams for sniffing around because maybe they can salvage something from the mess that we've already caused. But if Young face plants again this week, Canales in the front office will get all the answers they needed. Again, Young's walking into a no-win situation with all odds stacked against him. And you want to say there's no pressure on this kid? Because I've heard a lot of people say there shouldn't be any pressure on him. Are you fucking kidding me? If he doesn't pull off a miracle against this Broncos defense, that's licking its chops to get to him right now. Canales might as well start packing his bags too because, again, we know how David Tepper is. I don't want to lose Dave Canales. I think Dave Canales is actually a good head coach. I think he's just got to take some time to understand the ins and outs as being a head coach than what he's used to being. He's a rookie head coach. I get a lot of Pete Carroll vibes from Dave Canales. Do I trust Dave Canales right now with some of the shit that he's saying? Absolutely not. Has some of his play calling been questionable at times? Yeah, but that's part of being a rookie head coach. So, I mean, I'm 50-50 on him when it comes to his talking. I'm more of an actions guy. I like the vibe that he brings because he's Mr. Optimistic and he's trying to bring that keep pounding culture back. I appreciate that out of him. But I know a bullshitter when I see a bullshitter. And he's bullshitting at the podiums as of lately. But Dave Canales could also be packing his bags. Again, I'm never going to not have that in my mind when you have an owner like David Tepper. I'm never going to have that consensus that he could fire Dave Canales. Because I could see it. Because of how impatient this guy is. Because we've seen it time and time again, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Miss Rand? Appreciate you joining. Kendall Johnson, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining. Kendall, yeah. I heard about that. I mean, they could still trade for Deontay Johnson if they want to. I think Hollywood Brown's supposed to be coming back. But, again, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen over there in KC. I don't know if they're going to trade for him or not. Yeah, the Chiefs just did get DeAndre Hopkins, Miss Kristen Butler. So I posted about that yesterday, actually. Let me get out of here. Let me quit sharing this right now. So again, it's not just Young's in this situation, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think it's Young's who's fighting for his future here. It's the entire franchise trying to figure out if they're stuck with another consolation prize or whatever you want to call it. It's a colossal screw up at the end of the day. So yeah, it's definitely a high stakes. And I think y'all all should bet your asses that it is. All right, well, I'm going to open it up. I've already got Zach in here. We'll go ahead and get Zach in. Hold on, Zach. I got to fix this. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Zach.
Hello.
What you got for me?
I'm going to call it now. I'm giving Avero until either the bye week or after the Denver game. Because there ain't no way you keep a defensive coordinator that's given up the historical stats that he is doing right now. But here's the thing. If they do fire him, then who are you going to go with on the coaching staff? Because if you go with his people, we're still going to see the 3-4 defense. Unless you go with the defensive line coach, because he's always been a 4-3 defense.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at this coaching staff, you'd have to say, well, who would you go with? Hold on 1 second here. I need to look up their coach. I got to look at the team. Hold on. Let me find it. Do we have the coaching staff on their website? There it is. Football staff. Coaches. There it is. Yeah, I mean, so if we look at the coaching staff, hold on.
For me, only realistic one I could see is Todd Walsh.
Hold on, I'm trying to move us around here. That'll work. We'll rock with that. All right. So if we're looking at this, let's say they did let Ejiro Evero go, right? All right. I mean, Don Capers is still here. I mean, this guy's still kicking. I can't believe that. Todd Wash. I mean, Jonathan Cooley's a pass game coordinator. D'Angelo Hall, yeah. Peter Hansen. So you're saying that this guy, Todd Wash.
Yeah, the former Detroit Lions head coach. Because when he was with Detroit, I think it was the head coach for Detroit or the defensive coordinator, he ran a 4-3 defense.
He's been defensive line coach his whole life. Let's see. Head coach at Fort Lewis College. Defensive coordinator, North Dakota State. Defensive coordinator, defensive line. D coordinator, linebackers, Missouri Southern. North Dakota State defensive line.
It was Jacksonville where he ran the 4-3. I thought it was Detroit for a second, but it's Jacksonville.
All right. So, yeah, Jacksonville when he ran the 4-3.
It was Jacksonville when he ran the 4-3.
And actually, Jacksonville's defense during that time was actually very good. That's when Jacksonville had, I'm pretty sure this is when Jacksonville had Blake Bortles and that defense that they had, if I'm not mistaken.
That's why I could see this way. If they can't get nobody from the outside to come in next year for the defensive coordinator job, I could see them going with him. But knowing fans, they'll want to get rid of him.
Okay.
But we got to get switched from that 3-4 to the 4-3.
Yeah, I just don't see them doing it mid-season. I don't see them do it. Here's the thing. Nobody in the coaching staff, here's the thing. Nobody fires they'll fire a head coach and they'll fire maybe an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, but they're not going to change the scheme up. That's the issue. Like, even if Todd Wash says, okay, he's the interim DC, okay, they're still going to run the same thing until the next season, because you just can't flip a scheme like that. It can't be done. So the thing is Todd Wash seems like a guy that could be a good candidate. I still think Robert Saleh, even though we'll see what happens with this whole Green Bay ordeal. I've also heard that the Patriots are interested in bringing him in next year as their DC.
They may go with him as the head coach in New England, because they're thinking about firing their head coach after just 1 year. The Patriots is.
Yeah, well, they're thinking about firing him after what he said, because he called the team soft. So, which I don't blame him. Like, he should call the team soft. Like, they're playing like a soft ass team. So it is what it is. But so I'm gonna end. Zach, I'm gonna end it here. I appreciate you joining, bringing in your 2 cents about Todd Wash. I like that idea. I mean, listen, if he can bring what he brought in Jacksonville, I would not be mad at that at all.
But with him, you got to at least give him the same time you gave Avero. Yep. Same thing with Dave Canales. You got to give him him and Dan Morgan at least 2 or 3 years. Yeah, they got to go through and fix this roster completely up from the ground up again.
Yep. So, Zach, I appreciate you joining, man. Appreciate you bringing in, always keeping me up to date with stuff. So I appreciate that, man.
Yep.
All right, brother. Take care. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty.
Bye-bye. That's Zach Rappaport, man. I love that guy. He keeps me up to date, man. He does. He keeps me up to date with stuff. He keeps me up to date. I need it, because like I'm constantly making content. I'm constantly putting out NFL stuff. And I'm so there's like other things I'm reading upon besides the Carolina Panthers as of late, because I love the sport so much that I just and love bringing content. That's why I'm just been doing NFL stuff on the side for you guys. So, but don't make me blush. That's hilarious. Well, guys, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor. I will be live tomorrow. We're going to be breaking down the Broncos game. I'm hoping that I can get the Denver Broncos guy from the Roundtable Sports to come on. So hopefully I can talk to him, see what his schedule looks like, see if we can get something put together. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor. Do these 3 things. Once again, do these 3 things. That's all I ask. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor again. Those 3 things. Smash the like, hit that subscribe, click that post notifications bell. That notification bell notifies you every single time I'm live, or I post up a short, or I post up a video. So I appreciate everyone. Join the live stream. And again, make sure you pound that like button. All right. Yes, Kenneth, I am thinking about making merch. I'm actually in the process of doing that right now. I did not know how much it takes to make merch. So I am on the verge of starting to making merch here soon, especially for the people who become members. People who become members or are members up to when this merch does come out, or stays as a member until this merch comes out. I'm going to give you 2 free things of the merch, whether it's a hoodie, a shirt, probably, or maybe a hat, whatever. I'm working on that. So people who become members and stay members up to that point, whoever my members are, will get maybe 1 or 2 things free. So I'm going to work on getting all that stuff. I'm working on it as of right now. That's part of the background that I'm working on. I'm also working on getting my NFL credentials, ladies and gentlemen. That's another big thing I'm working on right now. I'm working on getting my NFL credentials so I can go to the NFL draft, so I can get into these NFL locker rooms, so I can get the Ropp Star Report to go to other places. I'm working on that. I'm working on getting all that stuff done. There's other things that I'm working on right now. What was it else that I'm working on? Yeah, so I'm working on finding a way to get my NFL credentials. Because I'm talking with a buddy of mine from Roundtable Sports. We're trying to get some way to figure out how we can get to the Super Bowl, the draft combine, stuff like that. So, and then also in theory, if I get these NFL credentials, I'll be able to access players, coaches, and everything, which could bring you better content. But then the merch, yes, merch is coming. There's a lot of stuff coming, man. And then also I'm working on a Panthers roundtable. I'm working on a Panthers roundtable for the NFC South roundtable on the Roundtable Sports, which is what it'll be on. So I'm working on that. And we might have a first episode coming out of the Panthers roundtable maybe this week. So I'm working on that. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I'm out of here. I just want to give you a few announcements. Kenneth did ask me about the merch. It is coming. I'm working on that as we speak. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Do me a favor, smash that like, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss out on any new content. Okay? Because it always updates you when I'm live. It always updates you when I'm post a video or a short. So make sure you click that post notifications bell. It's just as important as the like and subscribe. All right. Appreciate you guys. Okay. Remember 3 things before I leave you. Have fun, be safe, and as always, keep pounding. Peace.